Welcome to the channel. My name is Coach and I'm your go-to source for everything relating to TNA. And I think we need to talk about Victory Road for a minute because Victory Road, it's tonight. It's tonight and we have a pretty big card, but I'm not excited for it. Now hear me out. On tonight's card, we have a lot of matches, but a lot of the matches are just placed on there. We have the Hardy Boys versus First Class. I don't care about that. We have a Kushida match against, I can't even remember his name right now. I don't care about that. No build. You want to look at the two World Championship matches? Let's look at Nick Nemeth versus Moose. Nick Nemeth hasn't even been on the show in the last few weeks since emergence. So there hasn't been an interaction between him and Moose. So I'm supposed to be excited for this? And then the Knockouts Championship. Jordan Grace and Wendy Chu haven't come face to face. Sure, Wendy Chu has attacked Jordan Grace, but they haven't come face to face. There isn't that personal reason for me to care. It just feels like two big matches for the sake of two big matches. Then hell, look at the tag team matches. Both World Tag Team Championships are being defended in matches we've seen before. So I don't really feel much interest in Victory Road. And to add on to that, Emergence was just 2 weekends ago. So 2 weeks isn't nearly enough to build a pay-per-view. You can look at any major promotion in the world. Having 2 weeks in between pay-per-views is not a good idea, it's not a good build. And you're gonna have to have a generational show to actually make this worth watching. And now I understand there's a lot of momentum going to Victory Road, a lot of tickets have been sold, but still, there's just that underlying feeling that I'm not very interested in this pay-per-view, and especially since it's on a Friday night. And I think normally that wouldn't be too big of a deal, even though I don't think it's a good decision. Tonight is Friday Night SmackDown, and their first episode on the USA Network. It's gonna be a big episode, and most people will choose to watch SmackDown over Victory Road. That's just a fact. But let's not give too much focus on Victory Road tonight. We'll give focus on it when the video comes. But tonight we're looking at what happened on this episode of TNA, so let's get straight into it. The show opens with Steve Maclin going up against Alex Hammerstone, and wouldn't you know it, Steve Maclin defeats Alex Hammerstone in a decision I just don't understand. So Hammerstone has gotten a lot of momentum. I know all the fans love Hammerstone. He just came from NXT, a massive match against Obafemi, and now you make him lose to Steve Maclin. Really? Steve Maclin? No offense, he's a great wrestler, great in-ring wrestler, but just when it comes to the mic, when it comes to charisma, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any of that. And you're putting him over Alex Hammerstone, who is one of the people everyone wants to see be the future of TNA. I know all TNA fans want him to be pushed. So this doesn't make sense to me. Regardless, after the match, Hammerstone attacks him, Eric Young comes out for the save, Maclin and Eric Young stand tall, and then Jake Something just comes to stand next to Hammerstone outside of the ring. He didn't even help Hammerstone, it's just a face-off between these two guys. Now Something and Hammerstone sounds like a pretty cool team. I get what they're doing, and if you're going to make Steve Maclin and Eric Young a tag team, I would be very fine with that. The tag team division needs to be built up and these two men could be a really good tag team. But not at the sake of Hammerstone, man. Going back to another match, Heather Reckless makes her debut against Giselle Shaw. This is probably the last time you will see Giselle Shaw on TNA, so enjoy it. She's gone after this, she's not going to be here any longer. And she had a good run, and Heather Reckless picks up the victory. Amazing decision, like you need to build Heather Reckless, and Giselle Shaw put someone over on her way out. But she did win with the help of Ash by Elegance. I would have preferred her to get a clean victory, but with what happened later tonight, this does make sense why this happened. We get another backstage segment with Xia Li, and she's coming soon. I don't know when, but I have very high hopes for her because she was very misused in WWE. I remember back in NXT when she was with Tian Shaw and all that stuff. It was so cool, I was so hyped for it, but they really dropped the ball with that. Then even on the main roster, they couldn't fix her. So hopefully with a new fresh start, especially here in TNA where they're not afraid to do some crazy stuff, she can really go out and blow everyone's minds. Then Matt Cardona comes to the ring with Steph DeLander, and he says his tag team partner for Victory Road will be Steph DeLander, and she just has to stay there and not help her husband. And then PCO comes out, he saves Steph DeLander, attacks Matt Cardona, and that's the final build up for the pay-per-view match. This story has lost a lot of steam for me, and it just feels like the story has died down a lot. PCO doesn't feel like this big hero you want to cheer for anymore. I don't know what they did with this story. I just want it to be over so we can see all of these people go into different directions, because PCO can be a top babyface, Matt Cardona can do something else, and the women's division really needs Steph DeLander. Then we get ABC versus First Class, a rematch from Emergence, And this was a solid match, just a good rematch, and ABC won. They weren't gonna lose. They have a tag team match coming up at Victory Road tomorrow night, but this match was really good. And then another backstage segment about Jonathan Gresham, and we're still going with the split personality thing. Again, another thing I've lost interest in because they haven't booked it properly. It's like we've forgotten about it for like 2 months, and now we're trying to revisit it, right? Because I was so excited when I started watching TNA. Jonathan Gresham and this cool mask, this Cthulhu person. It was so cool. It's one of the things that grabbed my attention, and then we just abandoned it. Why? So, right, if you can fix it, it'll be great to see, but right now it's kind of boring. What wasn't boring though was Joe Hendry versus Josh Alexander. And man, I never really got Joe Hendry at the beginning, but I'm a full believer now. I really enjoy him, and TNA, they really struck gold with him. I believe his contract with TNA is up till 2026 or 2027, but there's also a deal with NXT, so he's under contract with TNA, but he's also a full-time worker for WWE. So whatever success he achieves in WWE, that's also going to translate to TNA. So really, you really did a good job there. And he played a diss track thingy on Josh Alexander, and it was really funny comparing him to Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. I popped for that. And again, Josh Alexander, he's gonna leave next year. He was a late bloomer, so it makes sense that he now wants to get that big bag and go into the sunset. And whether he goes to WWE or AEW, he's gonna be really good because we all know he's amazing in the ring, but he's really stepped up his mic work in recent times, and that was especially obvious tonight. He was really good on the mic. Obviously, he's not gonna go head to head with Joe Hendry, but he kept up pretty well. This was a really great segment. I'm really excited for this match tomorrow night. Again, I'm not excited for the pay-per-view very much, but this is the marquee match that I want to see, so at least it's something I'm very interested in. Xia Brookside faces Ash by Elegance, and I mentioned earlier Heather Reckless and Ash by Elegance are kind of in cahoots, and that's what happens here. Heather Reckless helps Ash by Elegance get the victory, and I'm not a big fan of this. If you're gonna turn Heather Reckless and Ash by Elegance into a tag team, like, that's just gonna be Heather Reckless and Ash by Elegance versus Spitfire. That's not a good decision because you already lack top stars in the women's division. So now if you're going to pair this young, hot, up-and-coming star and Ash by Elegance, who's kind of reinvented her career, you're just gonna plop them into a tag team, it's gonna really hinder your division because we should just can the women's tag team championships or send them over to NXT. NXT needs it a lot more than you need it because they have a lot of women's tag team down there. You don't. You don't need more tag teams here. Just stop it. Push Heather Reckless as a solo competitor. Push Ash by Elegance as a solo competitor. And that's all gonna be fine. And then in the main event, the Hardy Boys defeat the System. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Since the System have a tag team match tonight at Victory Road, I was expecting a System to win, but no, the Hardy Boys pick up the victory. So this is telling me that the System will probably win their tag team championships back, and then they'll have a feud with the Hardy Boys going into Bound for Glory. I'm not against that. As long as the Hardy Boys win the tag team championships. As I do on the end of each of these videos, I give the show a ranking, and tonight's show, it was a 5 out of 10. I don't think the build to Victory Road was very good. I don't think tonight's show in general was the best show. There were some nice bits and pieces, just wasn't the best show overall. I enjoyed Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander. I enjoyed the surprise ending to the main event, and also the building up with some of the women in the division. Like Heather Reckless, she was a very big focus on tonight's show. And you also had more build to Xia Li, and if Ariana Grace is going to be a bigger part of the show, you're adding some more depth to this women's division around Jordan Grace, which is very good. And then again, I think the show in general, a lot of stuff wasn't very interesting. Just, you didn't get me excited for Victory Road tonight. Still gonna watch it regardless, it's my job, and I love TNA and I want them to improve. Because Victory Road very much feels like a show for people who haven't watched it, like a lot of big names fighting against each other and people you could recognize, but for someone who watches TNA regularly, you've seen a lot of these matches. You've seen the build and it's not that exciting. So it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh, trying to attract new viewers and keeping their current viewers, because I don't think the build up has done that very well. But again, this pay-per-view, it's gonna be the deciding factor whether they did it well or not. So yeah, I'm excited to see, and if you're excited to see, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. What do you think about tonight's show? Am I completely in over my head with my opinion on this? Maybe you have a different opinion. I would really love to know. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe. Let's take it to 100 subscribers. That would make my heart very, very happy. I appreciate all of you watching my videos. It means a lot to me. And I will see you again soon to cover Victory Road.